interesting because this is an ascending triangle like the one we saw on a monthly level, which is actually brilliant because if you have Hello everybody, welcome back to Day Trading School. I'm Amy and today I'd like to answer the question, how do I actually go about analysing a chart? How do I read a chart? Yeah, how does that work? What major key steps do I usually take to read a particular chart? Be that CFD or Forex, doesn't matter. At the end of the video, I am going to talk about this week's assignment because I have prepared an assignment for you, which is quite useful because it's not just about acquiring knowledge, listening to someone and listening to someone's strategy or whatever, but it's also about, really applying it. So that means my recommendation for you is open up a demo account so you can basically, just apply what you have learned. Next week there will be a part 2 of this video because today I'd like to focus on monthly, weekly, daily charts, and next week it's going to be about hourly charts. That means I do want to clarify the question, when and where would you enter the market and what are the reasons, right? And where would you exit the market? Where would you take profit? Yeah. So we're going to clarify this next week. That means next week's focus will be on trading strategies, or let's say on one simple trading strategy. This week is more about, how do you do all the preparation in order to be able to basically take a trade. All right, now without further ado, let's just get started with today's lesson. All right, before I start with today's lesson, may I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to support my work? That'd be absolutely lovely. And thank you very much indeed to anyone out there who has already done that. It's absolutely amazing to read all your lovely comments and see that you enjoyed my videos. Now, today's program is, as I said, you want to learn reading charts or you want to improve your skills, whatever. Now, even though I know that we are day traders, what I always do is I first of all keep an eye on the monthly chart. I want to know what the bigger picture is. Now, I am going to focus on this side of the chart because this one is 2007, so it's not necessarily relevant, and that's the current month. What I first of all clarify is the question, what is the overall trend? Yeah, what is the overall trend? That means I basically draw a line. I connect these dots here. The higher lows, they lead to an uptrend. Higher lows lead to an uptrend. Lower highs basically lead to a downtrend. And in between I see people formed something like a bottom and they went up with the price. But I can also see this. The same bottom happened here, here, and here, right? That means this seems to be like a support line. Wow, you can't read it, can you? And this leads to my second question. The second question is always, are there any support and resistance lines? And as I said, that's a support line. That means people, they don't want to go lower than the support line. And resistance is a similar scenario. People struggled here, here, and here. That means this seems to be something like a resistance line. Resistance means people, they can't just cross this particular zone. It seems to be quite difficult and challenging for them. And every time they try, so 1, 2, and now a third time, they just, they failed. Now, let's move on to the third question, which is, are there any chart patterns, not candlestick patterns. Candlestick patterns are usually 2 or 3 candlesticks together or 1 candlestick, whatever. but chart patterns are, major patterns. This is my resistance line. So that's the horizontal line. And that was, as you can remember, this was my uptrend. What you can see here, this is actually a triangle. This is an ascending triangle. Excuse me. As I said, it's an ascending triangle. An ascending triangle means that we do expect a breakout to this side. Yeah, that's the monthly analysis. Now, all right, let's continue with the weekly chart. And listen, I'm fully aware that I can add so much more to the whole process of reading a chart, such as, bowling a band and moving average, but this is the way I do it. And if you think that this is basically wrong, well, in this case, you need to find another teacher. There are loads of good trading teachers out there. Now, this is an uptrend. This is my price correction. Whenever you see a price correction, the relevant question is, where is this going to end? Where is this going to finish? A possible answer to this question is this support line here. Support line because you see a couple of long shadows. Long shadows basically means people, they basically are scared to go below a certain price level. Yeah. Now the question is this a resistance zone? I'd say this is not a resistance zone. This is just a peak and then a price correction was introduced. If we had something like this, in this case, that would be a resistance line. But this hasn't been tested many times. Now, after having clarified this, we can now talk about chart patterns as well as candlestick patterns. Now, I see a very important chart pattern, which is this rectangle here. And rectangle means, it's a ranging market. People go up and down, up and down. They're basically moving between this range here. And usually, we now expect a breakout to this side or to this side. Now, we have some information, some very important information from our monthly chart where we have spotted an ascending triangle. So that means we expect a breakout to this side. This is more likely to happen. Whereas I do have to admit that if this was the end of this week, that wouldn't be the best candlestick to introduce a continuation. That would rather mean people are still not convinced whether they like to continue now, and they still need some sort of, testing. So, because this candlestick here expresses that people, the bulls tried to move up with the price, but then they were pushed back, right, by the bears. And now there's some sort of they are some sort of indecisive at the moment, is what that would mean. But the market hasn't closed yet, right? Because it's just 4 p.m. All right, then let's move on to the daily chart. Now, I'm going to ignore this green candlestick because that's basically for today, and you can never rely on a candlestick which has not been fully formed. Now, the question first of all is it what is the trend? The overall trend is an uptrend, as you can see, right? With a lot of price correction. And we also have a support line here and a resistance line here. That means people struggle here, and here they had some sort of support. After having clarified this, you'd ask yourself whether you can see any important major chart patterns as well as candlestick patterns, which is actually the case here. This is very interesting because this is an ascending triangle like the one we saw on a monthly level, which is actually brilliant. Similar on two different time frames, that is just a very strong sign. And here we've got on a monthly level as well as on a daily level an ascending triangle. That means people are quite convinced to basically continue with the uptrend, whereas we do have to admit that we're still in a ranging market and it's getting tighter and tighter. But yeah, the breakout is about to happen. All right, that's it for today, and let me now explain to you how your assignment is going to look like. All right, now let me clarify this week's assignment. What I want you to do is go and search the Euro USD chart if you don't have a demo account, which would be a terrible thing because you really do want to apply what you have learned, don't you? And then do exactly what I did in this video. That means analyze the monthly chart, the weekly and daily chart, and then post your answers in the comment section down below or send in your answers to my Instagram account. I would absolutely love to guide you and help you out and make sure you improve your trading skills. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and support basically my work and support the effort I put into creating videos to help you and to improve your trading skills. So hope to see you next week in part 2.